exhibition, apart from not having created work myself, because I have to shift my ideas around what it is to create, right? What is art? And for me, this is art. Having people gathered together in an exhibition that we thought through, put together. Um, this is a new way of designing and creating for me, and so it doesn't necessarily look like something that's visible and like tangible anymore. Well, not anymore, but yeah, it's part of that journey right now. So my installation, Ubinga will attest to my desire to have bricks in here. So, so I brought bricks, yeah? And it's to talk to the whole concept of, should I move? Maybe let me stand here, then I'm sitting here behind me. Okay. I brought in bricks because I wanted to play in on the whole trope of Imbo, right? That we're here and we exist as these hard bodies, that pretty much don't feel pain and don't feel anything and whatnot, which is false. Yeah. We are human beings. We have emotions just like men. We cry just like some men. You heard that, yeah? Some men. We have an array of an experience, right? And so it contrasts then the picture of a Palestinian mom or rather, auntie actually, because she's holding Indisiake, who passed away. So in Palestine, they wrap the dead in white cloth. And so, what does it mean then to be a woman in this world of ours, right? And by the way, this photograph was taken by Mohammed Salem, who is a Palestinian photographer. And those who don't know the concept or what's happening in Palestine, it's the apartheid that went to like 2.0 or 4.0, right? We ended in like, what, 94? We said, yeah, all right, back in the street. But they essentially had it worse. It has continued and it has gotten worse, and people have died. Millions and millions of people have died. And so this image is an image of basically grieving Umshana, right? And so first and foremost, I'd like to hold space for the mothers and the women who are in Palestine right now, who are struggling with loss, being women, and displacement, and all sorts of things that are happening there. And so on the right, we've got a photograph by Ulana Harun of Ala Salem, and she is an architecture student. Her mother is a fashion designer, I believe, and she is kind of the face of the Sudanese revolution, right? So they've had a dictator who's been sitting in authority for 30 years. So the people are tired, and there's also a lot of unrest and a lot of shootings and things like that. People have been displaced and have had to move homes and whatnot. So she's been kind of the face of the Sudanese revolution. They call it now the revolution or the women's revolution because all the women came out and essentially supported her there. So in the context of Sudan, her showing up in that way, standing on a car, saying we want freedom, saying we want to live in a place and in a home in a peaceful manner, definitely went against everything that the society essentially stands for, because it's supposed to be men who are supposed to be doing that. So her standing there on that car for me is inspiration. It is a reminder of what has been said here as well. To take up the mic, rip it from the hands of those who just want to hold it the whole time. Just take it and speak your truth. And then we've got Miss Bell Books, and she is one of my greatest teachers as well. And she wrote this book, which is called Communion, and it's called The Female Search for Love. And I say to all my sisters, please buy it, please read it. If you have a moment during this day, just read through it, see some some of her thoughts, because she has taught me about love. She has taught me about how to respect myself, to love myself, and she also just teaches about love in general. So she has another book called All About Love. And so she takes you through the journey of what Black love looks like for us as Black people, because she's a black writer who writes for black people. She's also pastor by the way, so she's also one of my greatest teachers. And then there's a portrait by Jack Robertson of Miss Nina Simone. Yes, woman. Cream of the crop, from the music to just the way she showed up. She was part of the Black Lives, so not Black Lives, Black Panthers movement that time, and she was singing a lot about revolutions and pretty much like free black people, and I think her character, she's unapologetic, she exists the way she is, and we as Booty, you know what, I'm not easy on the eye, but I will show up. I will show up in whatever way that I want to, and so she's an inspiration for me as well. And then just the other day, I found a group of women known as the Gulabi Gang from India. They go and fetch all abusive husbands. They hunt them down. It says, okay, let me read the title. There's a group of women known as the Gulabi Gang that hunts down abusive husbands and it punishes them with bamboo sticks. Listen! Before I put you on this wall, by the way, because we were singing this song and Mrs. Bailey was sitting on the floor and she's like this in that picture. And the whole song was and basically the whole thing is like, we need to take our country back at whatever cost that really is, right? And so women who are standing up and hunting down abantu to say, listen, you're not going to treat my fellow sister like this, you're not going to treat my sister like this and stuff like that, because we want peace in our communities and in our societies. They've gone out and done their own thing. And I love that they dressed in pink as well. I just noticed that now. And then last but not least, is it last but not least? No, I think there's two more pieces behind me. But from this installation, we've got the one and only, the mother of this nation, the literally like the nurturer of our freedom, essentially. Mamuli Mandela. Yes. I heard a woo! Yes. And the same way that there wasn't an uproar of like, yeah! It's because she's had a so-called contradicting history. Because that's about some boys from soccer club, bigger bars, and whatnot. And now all of a sudden that just takes away everything that she has done. Which is unfair. Because the only reason why we know this gentleman over here, aka Utata, aka Nelson Mandela, is because of her. Yes. She was out here in the streets talking about, you better free my husband. Like, that's my man in there, you better free him. And so she kept his name alive, even though he was chilling in Robben Island, probably figuring out what he's going to do with his law degree and whatnot, right? But she was on the streets with the people, fighting, getting arrested, being detained. If there's any book that I would also suggest for any woman to read, or anybody to really read about the story of Mamuli, it's this book. And in this book, it's basically her entire existence as a freedom fighter and the mother of the nation. And to me, she's a great inspiration and a reminder of how hard we work as women to do the labor that at the end of the day, the credit is then taken by a man just because he's a man, which is not fair again. So another favorite photo of mine is by Fiona Hansen. Atulisa. I'm like, this is so powerful. Like, it's such a powerful photograph of the one woman who can do that to that, right? The one woman who can do that to a man that everybody puts on such a pedestal in the world, and also specifically in the white world. And here is a woman who's just like, shut up, basically. And I think that's a very powerful photograph. So my installation is essentially to pay homage to all these women who remind me to continuously fight the good fight, which is not, it doesn't mean, and it doesn't mean, Guti, I have to always be on the streets. It doesn't mean that. I'm fighting in this way, right? Creating spaces for art, for artists to show up. I'm fighting by creating communities. How many times have we been in spaces and talked about just everyday topics like this? with different people from different walks of life. And so this is essentially how I fight. And so, what is your battle? How are you fighting in your corner? You can fight in science. You can fight in maths there with the people who don't believe in anything else but logic and science. You can fight doesn't matter. Wherever you are, just pick up the pen, pick up the mic, and speak on what needs to be spoken on, and do it with integrity as well. And so, with that being said as well, I brought some books in from my own library. My hope is to one day create a library for all the artists, to be able to engage with writings of different people, poets that I've met, poets that I haven't met, thinkers, political leaders. My favorite person as well is Bob Steve Biko, and he basically talks about Black consciousness, why you need to love yourself as a Black person, because it is very important. You cannot love anybody else first before you love you. And so he talks about it in a sort of political manner, but then he also gives very practical ways of how you can go about it and stuff. And so he's also a great resource. So the idea is that yes, we can be artists and put beautiful things up on walls, but where is it all coming from? We need to read, we need to write, we need to engage with other people so that we are informed and our society can also be informed. So I encourage you to scroll through some of these books that have also inspired me. And for the kiddies, there's this one book by an author. I think she's American. So 12-year-old and up and stuff. And she's a dope illustrator as well. So she has this really stunning book. And so it teaches about how to step into your power as a 12-year-old child, which is also important. So yeah, so if you want to have a look at that, take pictures or whatnot, and if you want to buy it at some point, you're not buying this one, just take a picture of the book and then go buy it at your own time. Because we're building a library. Oh, amazing. And then, what else? Oh, we have this piece over here. Oh, actually, this talks to. Okay, you'll see it. It's on the side. It's a print of Asata Shakur, and it's a quote that says, "We need to be weapons of mass construction, weapons of mass love. It's not enough just to change the system. We need to change ourselves." Oh, amen. Right? I got to finish saying that one. But yes, we can think about it in the bigger picture. But the big picture starts here with you. How do you change that? And then this piece over here is a prototype piece that I created, which is titled after something that Uma Mwini said, which was after she's been detained for such a long period of time. She said that even though they can arrest us and they can pin us down in foreign places and whatnot, we still have the right essentially to dream. We still have the opportunity to dream. And so therefore our dreams are free, right? Therefore you can tap into that at any point, at any time, as long as you just exercise it, because that's where also our freedom actually lies. And so with this specific piece, it was part of a whole installation that I had in Gothenburg, Sweden, and it was my first big show, and it was on a building, and the original piece is 8 meters by 3 meters, so it's massive. And I remember seeing it, and I just cried because I was like, me from Stadenton here in Sweden, 8 meters. So when I see it, I'm like, girl, I just didn't see the best. It really worked. And so the piece itself also kind of pays homage to different movements, I'll take you through a few. So for example, as you can see here, you've got the kufia, which is the Palestinian scarf, which is also a symbol of resistance, and woman is also wearing one. And so you support essentially the. Can someone please translate this for me? Thank you. And so it's a symbol of resistance, right? So anytime you see the kufia outside of its context in the Middle East, it's to show support to the Palestinian people. And so I wanted to hold space for different movements in this piece. And then, for example, with the little dub-dubs on the face, those are called the Mayflowers, and they're Swedish essentially, and the kids usually sell them during holidays. They don't look like this, I morphed them, but they sell them to raise money for specific causes and stuff like that. So I inserted them here. The red square is for student movement as well, where they're fighting for students' rights in Canada. Cardboard, the pieces of cardboard, that's our first point of entry when we want to write a message, when we're going to demonstrations and stuff like that. And that also speaks to Adele's backdrop, like the resourcefulness of material to be able to write what you want to say. And so, yeah, so the piece was essentially like pretty much just saying to all the people who are fighting for freedom in different places and in different contexts that, continue. Even though we are oppressed, you still have the right to be free. You still have the right to dream and like imagine a free country, imagine a free world, imagine a free black person. Like you're allowed to do what it does look like, and so that's what the piece is about. And then the last one is mom. The mom doesn't know I because the jealous and shoot his tongue and I forgot to tell you that I took it out of your hand. But essentially, that was the first time I celebrated women with my illustration work. So I studied graphic design, and those were the first sets of illustrations that I did of women that inspired me. It wasn't the greatest of illustrations, but it came out and it was so great for me at that specific point. And to be able to bring it into this exhibition, to have a conversation with all the other pieces in here and to be like, yo, dude, like you've come far with this art thing. But with those pieces, I wanted to celebrate the women again. Mamwini was part of them, and another lady who was in advertising was also part of them. And then my mother, of course, was also part of that. And so it was supposed to be like replicating here, the one that you tie here and stuff, but my own interpretation. And the piece is called bricolage because that's when I was still figuring out what is this collage thing. So you'll see with most of my work combines images, illustrations, like it combines a lot of different things. And what I like about that is that I'm able to bring in elements that we never actually meet. So for example, you'd never be able to see a shield kind of in that context, and like I saw the other day it was I used kente cloth, which is from Ghana, as it for Otani who's never been to Ghana, like, I could put that together. Hi sweetie. And, sweetie, I'm busy. Yes, I'm busy, Nana. And so I wanted to celebrate in that kind of manner. And just right underneath it, the purple cloth, that's from the Women for Change demonstration that I went to in Joburg. And those were all the names of the victims that they've managed to gather in their archive of the stories that they want to tell about the women who've been killed in our country. And I think it's not only just women, it's not only just women, but it's people who died from gender-based violence and just violence at home and been killed because of it. And so that's essentially the exhibition. And the last other inspiring piece, sorry, Mega, was e-movie of what's it called again? Moana. Look at all that! Yes! I love this! You're gonna make me cry. I love Moana. I think I've watched it like 10 times, and every time I watch it, I'm just like, this is my story. Is it also your story? I don't know. And so with it as well, like the idea of Uti, I'm a cartoon. No, these things have like stories and lessons and stuff like that. So for me, that's one of my favorite movies. And she goes out and she goes and finds herself, and she just does amazing things, which restores, the dignity of her hometown and her community, and she also learns about their history, and it's based on the Maori people from New Zealand. Yes, New Zealand. And yeah, so the grandmother is also kind of an indication of my grandmother, who's just like, yo, do you girl,
You get this,
yeah, exactly. And so I also brought that in here, and yeah, that is my work. Thank you. Any thoughts? Questions? I'm always just like, hello.
I'd like to add a thought.
Yes.
The brick walls, at first glance, it didn't really captivate me, but as you are unpacking it now, I realize that, bricks actually mean a lot, because, I mean, essentially, yes, as your point that a woman is a rock, a powerful stone. So, but also for me, what I see is that bricks, obviously men construct a house, but a woman is who makes it a home. So bricks play a pretty significant role because we can construct all we want, but if a woman is not there to make it a warm home, then it's just bricks. So I'm glad that you have this installed.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think the other thing as well. Hi guys, welcome. We're having a discussion about the artworks. And the thing with the wall in itself, right? Right now it's actually very fragile. So if you kick that thing, it's over. Because it's not stacked like the correct way, right?
Oh yeah.
So it's very fragile. And on top of that, like now, if one of them falls, it also breaks and it's brittle in that sense. So we also have to remember that as much as we can, as you said, construct all we want, and that women, if they're not there, I think that all talks about balance at the end of the day, right? We need each other. I need, okay, I don't need a man, but the feminine meets the masculine, because that's what we should be talking about, is the feminine and masculine, not only just man and woman. Feminine and masculine meeting, they end up creating a community, right? They end up creating the balance that we need to restore peace in our communities and in our societies. And so it is essential to remember, and for me, like, for example, in this space, I invited like mom's friends, or I asked my mom to invite her friends, and where are your friends? So I invited them, I invited Haboba Haba, I invited different people, because we cannot have a world where it's just you and I dictating who's this is cool, because we need the voices of our elders, and we need the voices of younger people, we need the voices of children. Like, listening to children is not a skill for us adults, but like, how do we get to listen to kids like clearer, not with our own fear and stuff. And so it is about balance, essentially. Everything. Like, if you don't know, ask. If you don't ask, you will not get the answer. So rather do that. And that's what this space is as well, is to ask the questions, get the answer, if there is an answer. Because that's also okay. If there's no answer. Anybody else?
I'd like to say something. Well, for me, it's not like, the more you speak, the more I'm like, this woman, yeah, like you're a powerhouse, and I just want to give you your flowers right now.
Thank you. Thank you so much. New artist, do you have any questions? Okay. Okay, yes.
Je veux ajouter sur like your powerhouse. You tell them like WR&MH, this is improvements and all, like what happened?
What happened? Actually, that's actually true that it was oppression. But my mom, they can't tell me I used to dance on tables when I was a child. I still do it, but now I'm an adult. But I've been creative essentially my whole life. And with the creativity, it's been enhanced by, I think, both my grandmother and my mother. But I would say especially my grandmother, who just encouraged, like, be yourself. Like, do you? What is that? You want to wear pink shoes? Okay, wear the pink shoes. You want to wear this bright green dress? Wear it. And then if she wasn't sure, she'd say, yeah, sabatis. And then you're stepping on, like, rough territory. But she essentially encouraged, like, being myself and being open-minded and doing the things that I want to do. So when I told them, hey guys, I want to go pursue this thing called fashion, which I ended up not pursuing, but I'm trying to settle back into it now. They were like, cool, mom picked, grandma did, and then I applied at UJ and Light stuff is London International School of Fashion, but it's not in London. It's here. And so I got accepted in both of them, and then I ended up going to AUJ because it was easier to pay for tuition and stuff like that. And I didn't know what I was going to do graphics. I didn't know this is what I wanted to pursue, in terms of visuals and stuff. But I remember reading prospectus, solving problems with creative solutions. And that resonated with me because I was like, I am creative and I like problem solving. So whatever this thing, communication design thing is, that's what I want to do. So I ended up getting in that world. And what sparked this revolution in me was actually Fees Must Fall. So during Fees Must Fall, I was doing, I think, what year was it? 2015. So it was maybe my second year of school.
Yeah.
And I was introduced to, hey guys, this thing is expensive. This tuition thing, 60 hours, like 70, 100. Who has that money in your community? Oh, I'm combat much, And so for me, I saw it as a very clear injustice. We all want these degrees, we all want all of these things, but they cost so much, and we all can't afford them because we also live in a country that has a history of the apartheid, where we were moved from the lands where we could actually make the money and we were connected to spiritually. Now we don't have that. So how are we making the bucks? How are we looking after one another? What are the reparations, Like, how are white people paying for what has happened in order for you to be able to go to a school for free? They haven't done anything, and that's why you continue to pay for tuition. And that's the reason why we continue to struggle with having kids to go to school. That's why it's such a big thing when somebody goes to school, because you're like, oh my gosh, what hurdles I had to kind of go through, And so I was out there with my best friends. We were reminiscing the other day. And it was hot. It was hot. And we were out of class for 3 days. You don't know this, but we were out of class for days. And it was just such a hectic time. And then I went to a design school. Then next. The white kids were coming in, driving in, getting things marked and whatnot, but the campus was essentially on fire. And Kingsway was on fire because I was at UJ. Kingsway was on fire. Vince started the whole thing, so now they were trying to get us also to be part of it. So we kind of started our own revolution on that campus, and we even went as far as trying to stop the happenings in our department, which was the Faculty of Arts, Design, and Architecture. And we didn't succeed. We were thinking about tripping alarms. We were thinking about doing all sorts of things, and we never succeeded because of how well kept white institutions are. And so they didn't allow anything to stop school from happening. So in my class, I'm coming in, I'm frustrated. I'm like, the country's on fire. And people are like, what? No, it's not. Here's my assignment. We move on with life. And so I got frustrated. And then my lecturer, Robin Cook, who I always give credit to, she said to me, hey, listen, take all of that frustration, and not in a kind of dismissive way, but she was listening to me, and she was also an activist, so I was in the streets with her, So she was sitting and she's like, yo, take all of that frustration and put it into your work. Let your work say what you need to say. And that's when I started getting with that Uguti. Oh, okay, I want to say we're going to get our land back. How do I do that? I'm going to do a zine, a small magazine, talking about white privilege, because our school was essentially white privilege, People were continuing when that is happening. And so they actually that was in that book, and showing symbols that resonated with it, because for me, that was the way that I could express it. And so that's when I started to get the power of my voice through my work. And I haven't stopped since. And so I think it worked for me, and I think it articulates Kizioyab in many ways, because I'm also a free spirit. I like the idea of being resourceful, and you also know, I'm like, do we really need these things? We can just use this thing, we can just use that, because we need to use what we have. We don't have to do grand stuff to say something, we can start with what we have. We've got Lumina, there's a studio, we have artists, we have artworks, We have brooms, we have mops, we have lights, electricity, poster, done. You know, we make it happen. Makrati, you sitting on a makrati, which we asked from a bottle store that said, sure, you can have them, but 6 p.m. is business. So that's just how I think I ended up with like myself, essentially. And I do not like injustice. Yeah, even when it occurred in my family, I think my brother can testify to that. I know, I fight. You remember the time we went to so there was a white kid who I think hit you or something, and then Ukoko, my grandmother and I were like, okay, we're gonna call this. We went there, me, my grandmother, my brother. Big Luke, he's like struggling with this kid. I'm there, I went to school with this kid, and I'm like in matric. Was I matric? Grade 11, maybe. I don't remember, but I wasn't a prefect at the time. But I knew him, and I was like, you're not gonna see the end of this team. Like, I was standing there, and I was like, yeah, you should have done this. And both Umama, one of the and my grandmother were kind of just looking at me, like, who is this child? And Ukoko, okay, two letters. And then the ladies on the other side was like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Yeah. And I was just like, I don't know, but he's not gonna get what he And I was so pissed. So for me, the injustice is what I do not like in any format, in any way. And my mom will also testify with even now as an adult, like I want to see people free, I want to see people happy, I want us to work together. And I don't know where it comes from, but it is here, and it is building community, and it is transforming the spaces that I live in, it is transforming myself, and that's the thing that I wish to share with others. Shall we close this off so that people can experience the exhibition?
Yeah.
Or we have a question.
No, my question is, I mean, like we've been to Gauteng, the big cities, then obviously it's easy to meet the other creatives, people that you can relate to, that you can do whatever, and like the part of you growing there is pretty much easier outside. Yeah. So, Mauza, like, how is it for you? Like the space, the community understanding you, the support, and the whatnot. Like, how is it?
Okay, so me coming back from Sweden was essentially knowing what I'm here for. What I'm here for is to do exactly justice. That's what I'm here for. I've gone out into the world. I have learned what I needed to learn. For that period of time to be able to come back and say, I want to give back to my community. And how do I give back? I'm gonna cry. But how do I want to give back to it, because I think it's so easy to go out into the city, learn what you need to learn, and then never come back. But then what about Nonto who's never known what graphic design is? What about Nonto who's never understood what fashion is or whatever, And so for me, again, starting Creative Shall Double was to say, look, I know what to call me. I know what to call Bandai. Somewhere, somehow, where? I don't know, but we're going to find them. And give them the space and platform to figure their own stuff out, and to decide, it's okay. The poster, when we designed the first poster, I was just like, yo, bro, just do it. Like, I didn't say I want any colors, that's it. I just said, you do it. Because that's essentially what I want to do, is just to be able to say, I see you're doing stuff, and I want to support that. And for me, that's the most important thing, is to be able to give back and to do what I am called to do. That is my calling, and how that looks like, I also don't know.
Beautiful.
Last not least, because we pointed out the issue of revolution.
Yes. Wait, are you changing the topic?
No,
because I want to
finish.
I want to finish that other side.
Oh, okay. No. Or let me just pause, because I wanted to align what you have just said now, because like on the issue of support.
Yes.
A person will have a vision or something, right? But because I actually support, then it will be easy for one to give up.
Yes.
So now, hence, like, that is why I was organizing my pointers. Yes. Say from how things the city, obviously we get a lot of people, so therefore in terms of support, it is easy.
Yes.
But when you come to start on time, you get zero support, you know. But there I did not give up.
Because that's not the work.
So yeah, it's like partly I wanted to highlight to say that even if you don't have support,
Yes.
but if into oyenzayo you are intentional, continue doing it up until
the support shows up.
Definitely. Like the lady in KZN who's Jacinta, you know, this lady she was asked, okay, and it's in South Africa for grade 1 and grade 8 home language, like the use of space. But now it's unfortunate to say Belisea spread, right? So now she chose, as like we have said, to say you must just shine in wherever you are, the space that you are in, you know. So now she chose this revolution of saying let us put our kids first, South Africans first, because we don't have any other country to go to, you know, because if not around the space here, I don't have an option to say now I can go to Zimbabwe or France or whatever. But now. Yes, maybe we'll have that conversation at home. Sometimes I'll not even have it up until it affects me. So now then someone is saying with social media, you know, Pushasita as a country are supposed to put some support 100%. Because currently I'm living, because they are comfortable with their spaces. But she's seeing the injustice that it is happening.
Yes.
So now there was a question of saying, we are saying like we are getting attacks, there are no support. You know, I was amazed by your response to say what I'm doing. Actually, I'm not doing it for support. I'm not doing it for fame. But I felt I need to do it. Whether I'm having someone or one on support or whatnot, but what matters is that what I'm doing today, there's going to be a transformation. Like to be free and whatnot.
Exactly. And also on that same note, in order to be in that position, you must also understand Luti. It's very clear. Luti, you're following your task, right? So find your task. Like find the thing that you have to do. Because once that's clear, then I'm gonna send anybody else to be like, so no, I get that. But to see so many people in this room, people who were here the last time, people who are new into the space, you know, with like shiny eyes, like, oh, we've been like waiting for this. For me, that's enough. One person, enough, you know, because that's essentially what I'm doing is to create that space for that one person, you know. And actually, I will also mention, I've been surprised by the support that I've gotten now. Where people, I don't have to send a poster to anybody. They're like, yo, I'm coming, you know? And I'm like, oh, okay, that's nice, you know? Because you also have to find something within yourself to want the thing that you're supporting, right? And that's why you have to come back to yourself. There's a book there that talks about going, is it here? No, it's not here. But it's a book that says going back to the source. What is the source? What do you care about? What do you wake up in the morning for? What gives you light and joy and like everything that pretty much just like makes you move? So for example, Ubong's over here. His thing is running. That boy runs, you know? And the best way that I can support him is to cheer him on. Hey, Bongs, let's go. Bongs, let's go. Bongs, where are you now? And he texts me too. But I can see that that's his thing for him, right? And to know, Woodsy, for example, I was an athlete when I was a child, and I know how much it cost for my mom to get me uniform and shoes and all sorts of things. Like, the least I can understand is that it is going to be very difficult if Bongs has to really, like, you know, get to the pros and whatnot. Because just to go to Skeleton Primary, Word School, and all of these things was already so difficult. So I then become cognizant of the fact that, okay, how do I support that thing within God? You don't even have to resonate with it specifically, but to understand that there is a gap somewhere that you can fill and want to fill. You have to do it because nobody else is going. Ukoko used to say, if something is like, if you're the only person who's seeing something, right? Yeah, Shaman, guys, it's not burning. Somebody says. When we are born with Yasha. Yasha, guys, nobody's doing it. and you still don't do anything about the burning house, do you realize that you are the one who's now letting the house burn, right? So she used to say, Wuti, if you see something and you are called for it, you have to do that thing because nobody else is saying it. So you have to do that thing and be courageous towards it. So the whole purpose is also to be very courageous because it takes courage to stand at that position and say, I don't have anybody else to do this thing with or whatever, but I'm going to be courageous and keep trying it. Even if I lose money, even if I do whatever, but this is what I actually want to do. And so with that, full stop. And then the support part of it, guys, support your friends, support your creative friends, because we're already battling with the idea of just putting a paintbrush onto the canvas and deciding what that's going to be, you know? So that's already a journey on its own. So when you see good time, that's it. My man is doing really good or whatnot. How do you support them? Do you connect them with Nonto? Do you connect them with another community member? Do you, hey, let's create a space in my house? I mean, I see opportunities everywhere. The day I get a house, it's over. It's really over. Because that place is going to become like, I don't know what, but essentially, like, use whatever you have. If that person does not have a space, setting, whatnot, just help, you know, and like avail yourself. And some people are difficult, so that's why you have to also have a clear mind with what is it that you are doing and what is it that you are trying to give to that person and not expect anything back. So from the same essence of me here, I don't expect anything back except for you to write a feedback note at the back telling us what did you think about the exhibition, the little butterflies that are there. And that's pretty much it, because then from there we can build and do better and, you know, go bigger. But we are there, so we're not going anywhere. Can I move from the stage now? Okay, so I mean, time has pretty much passed. It's like 3:30 now. We're closing at 4. Minga, are we really closing at 4? Okay, so I guess the program will end at 4. And anybody wants to hang out? Can hang?
Yeah.
So 5 maybe. Okay, fabulous. Thank you. You see, this is support.
So, like, I hear you saying, like, you know, was they at a young age that, you know, you went to the art and whatever. So then, because with our system, especially our educational system, it usually boxes us. You understand? So if you're not good in the STEM stream, then automatically you just go to creative arts, you know, and like that discourages you on some, since I'm not good with numbers, I imagine I have to, you know, fall and like that. Meanwhile, like you don't even know the potential that you have or the skills and the talent that you have. Like maybe you are good with your hands, you are good with painting and that. So then now how does so or say next door like unlock his potential of like actually being the artist? Because now unfortunately like and you can only dream as much as you see.
Yes, and as much as your environment.
So like so he's never been to Joburg. He's never been to like an art gallery, for example, and then he's never been to like been exposed to all different cultures, you know. So like how?
I'm glad you asked that question because it answers what I am going to tell you about the future of Creative Showdown. So, creative, yes, no.
I need to write so just use it to support us.
Thank you. Thank you. And say bye to Abasa again then. Thank you. Okay, so rewind to how do you encourage that person who's interested. So I'll take you through the program. So as Creative Showdown, for the next 3 months, we're going to be pretty much activating status. We got funding from the National Arts Council to be able to do stuff. So that for me So what's going to happen? Right? So what's going to happen for the next 2 months? Now we have our first exhibition. We have 2 exhibitions planned. This was the first one, which was around women's rights and mental health. The second one is an exhibition that's happening on the 7th of March, which is called Whatever Happened to Ubuntu. And there it's also going to be talking about, communion, like, whatever happened to this? It started just all again, talk trash, and like, not only talk trash, but talk, what do you call it? Productive trash. Yeah. Productive trash. And what does that what does Ubuntu mean for us now? Because we've been like given this name and this word to inherit, and we're pretty much blackmailed, emotionally blackmailed with it. You need to show Ubuntu, but what is it? Like, what is it actually? And so I'm so glad Ubuntu Snake has arrived. But the 2 artists who are going to be part of that exhibition is Unjabulo over here, Owenza Ama. You want to say hi? So Unjabulo Owenza Ama dance. Right, so he basically, so he makes those, and so what other symbol shows Ubuntu than that, right? Because when you get married, you give it when somebody passes. Thank you. And it becomes kind of a symbol for Ubuntu, right? So I wanted him to be part of that exhibition. So we're currently working and talking through like his own process and all sorts of things. How I found him was in a WhatsApp group, and we had met before in something else. So this is also the thing of like working with the artist towards something. I go to just all sorts of things. But what is the process? So he's going to be part of that. And then at the back over there is my Saints and Sinners fashion designer who stands And who's there? Are you wearing your clothes, my guy? Yeah. Of course he is. Yes. So Steve, Konala.
Extension 2.
There we go. Yeah. So Snare is in the fashion world, and he creates some really cool pieces. And his process is to merge different materials to make like old pieces. There's like these pants and like jackets and stuff. Very, very good stuff. And so he's also going to be part of that exhibition. So he's going to be showing his fashion, and then also we're working towards the process. Even though it's going to be match, talking about it and building it. And so with Usne, for me, the Ubuntu comes in putting 2 different elements of things together into a cloth, and creating these pieces that we have. So that's one way of expressing the Ubuntu from what he does. So he's going to be part of that exhibition. And then the third guy is Uharabit, who is like my homeboy and like the #1 artist I've been supporting ever since. Who actually helped me get into university by like drawing a little character on a chair. I was like, I can't do this stuff. And he helped me. He's like, sure. There it was, and I got into school. But I really believe in him. I really believe in what he can do. I believe in his creativity, which is vast. He raps, he writes, he does all sorts of things, he paints, and he was part of the exhibition that we had at the skate park. And so with him as well, like I said to him, hey, listen, this is the canvas essentially. Like, what do you want to do? You can do whatever you want, but we have a budget for this and we have a budget for that. So how do you express it? Whatever it is that's about. And so for me, it is about giving the opportunity to figure out what you want to do, right? It's not the finished product. It's not the final thing. It's the journey towards it. So that, one Swiss can learn. So that the Swiss can also learn, you can't just paint the picture and that is it, but what goes behind painting the picture. So the spaces that we create with the exhibitions are to be able to invite and say, that's the best you can do, is invite them to our spaces to say, hey, come and see what other artists are doing, and then we can have a conversation and see who's okay, like, can he be part of anything that we're doing? And if not, for example, like Angelo, I've been thinking about you, and I'm going to place you in this array of bubbles. But you are on my mind, and I absolutely appreciate the support that you give throughout, even on the socials, like, I really appreciate that. So even with that, like, just because you haven't been invited to a show, just because you haven't been invited to a show, just because you haven't been asked to do something, like come on, hey, come and see what other people are doing and support what other people are doing, right? Because at the end of the day, that could also be you. So those are the two things that are the big things. And then we're gonna have 3 to 4 workshops. One is about communication design, so the basics of communication design, graphic design. How do you create a poster that essentially communicates what you needed to communicate? Because in this day and age, they just pump words everywhere, pictures everywhere is a mess. For me as a graphic designer, but I don't judge. Never will also attest. We don't judge. We just design our own things and make them nice. So with that, it's to teach those same artists, how do you package your work. So I'm so glad to have you here. Thank you so much. And so with that exhibition, it's to teach the artists how do you package your work, how do you make it look appealing enough for the next person who's going to consume what you are putting on the table. I go to shoot it off, it might just sit dirty and it's ugly or whatever the case may be, but how do you sell your work in the best way possible, right? And then the third workshop we're going to do is breath workshop. How do you use your body as a tool for healing? How do you use left that you are using to inhale air and breathe out air to actually calm you down and to help you in your process as an artist, but also as a human being who has a nose and fresh air? How do you use that to calm yourself, to think, to create, to be in a space where you can be in community with other people? So we're gonna do that too. And then the fourth workshop is the fourth workshop is a cool one. It's called Hike, Sip, and Paint. And it's happening at the end of this month on the 31st. So if you scan the codes, which are somewhere, where did the codes go? They were everywhere, but yeah. So if you scan the WhatsApp community code, you'll be able to see the unfolding of all of these different events, right? And when they're happening, tickets, and all sorts of things. So with the Hike, Sip, and Paints, it's a concept of we meet in Spur, Leopold, and we're gonna hike for 6 kilometers together. Now we can't say hike because it's essentially a walk, right? Instead it's but that's what we have. So we're gonna hike, right?
6 kilometers.
6 kilometers. It's not
No
even
Uber.
that far. No, bro. Do you have Uber in this town of yours? Because you have to call a brother who has a friend who has a friend just to get anywhere. So we're going to be walking essentially. And so what's going to happen is that when you sign up for the event, you get a bag, well not a backpack, but like a bag of stuff, right? Supplies, so paints, brushes, and a canvas. You bring your own backpack, you take your backpack, and we're hiking towards Iselat. Okay? So, right? So we're going to walk. And so can you please mind the art behind you? Thank you. Yeah. So we're gonna walk all the way up to the mountain, and then when we get to the top, I don't know who I have to ask for permission, but me, I'm also not a permission person. Thank you. Okay. Because I was gonna say we plant a tent and we do stuff. That's essentially me. But nonetheless, because other human beings, we would then plant ourselves up there. You unpack your bag with your paints, your brushes, and whatnot. We're gonna have music and some food, snacks, whatnot. And then we just paint on top of Salatu Mountain. And so that's happening on the 31st of March, 31st of January. And the details will be shared in the WhatsApp community. And then that will also lead you to all of our socials, so you can also keep in touch with the stuff that we're doing and the conversations that we're having. And so that is it. And then we also have a mural. That's my speaker being tired. We also have a mural. We have a mural scheduled, which we should be painting in the mid-March, and that one is going to be ideated and created by Ubu Harabit. And then anybody who wants to come through, and help and whatnot, will also share that information. We'll say, hey, we need hands or whatnot. But he's essentially going to produce that. And we're still trying to find the best spots just to put our name out there with creative shelter. Because that's the whole point of the name of this NPC is we're not gonna ask for permission as artists. We're not gonna ask for an opportunity to exist. Please, here in the
Oh,
corner,
gosh.
say,
Abafana bathathe mina
exactly. But that's essentially it. Like we need to occupy space, as artists. So yeah, this person, I was like, I wanted the Creative Shall Govern sticker tries to figure out how to be part of us. We're building a community. We're building essentially a movement of creatives who can exist in Standard in any way that they want to. And so that is what is kind of laid out for the next 3 months. And so if you know anybody who is an artist, aspiring, retired, curious, whatever it is, come through to our socials and just see what we're doing. And if you want to plug into our events, plug into our events. But yeah, for the next 3 months, certain things are set, but we're very open to engaging and collecting whoever is out there. And then maybe one day we can have like a massive exhibition where everybody is then sort of, displayed and shown them. And this is what Stanton has to offer, per se. So I think that's the best way that I can answer. How can you help us, Visa? Is this way. But another way is to also assist them in encouraging them to share their work on the socials and to show their work. Because we create, but we don't ever put it outside, because it's vulnerable. Like, this work is vulnerable. To be able to put the work out there, I want to get off the stage now because I'm tired. But apart from that, it's like you really put yourself out there. You put the depth of who you are out there. And so if people are gonna kind of say, like Mega said, he said, "Manje, sesiyashada manje kulesithombe lesi." Yeah, exactly like this, just with those words coming out of his mouth. But just that, right? Like, it takes a lot of courage to be able to say, yeah, that veil symbolizes so many other things. Done. But you need to build that confidence, show people your stuff, be vulnerable, be open to engaging with people, and be open to hearing different perspectives, but don't allow that perspective to then influence your work in the sense of you changing your voice so you can make people happy. So I think for me, I'm in the business of the art because I don't want to please the client per se, but I would love to be able to express myself and to create in a manner that allows me to be the full version of myself. And then once we get out of Stanton and we get pro, there's other curators who are out there who are going to tell you, I don't like this, and this I don't want, and this I don't do this, and whatnot, which I'm doing mildly, as you know. But there's other people who will then be able to dictate and whatnot. So the idea is that with Creative Shall Govern, it doesn't end here. Creative Shall Govern is aiming to get our artists to be able to go out into the country. So we're also doing trips to Joburg, for example. In February, we've talked to some people who are that side, who are also in the creative space. So we're going to be taking 7 artists with us to go there and see what's happening in Joburg. Go to a gallery, go to a space, meet creative leaders, stuff like that. We also had a workshop where Adam Snare was. Who else was there? Yeah, and yeah, exactly. There were a few people who were there, and that was a fashion research-led workshop. And so that's also different ways where we can engage with different artists and different people and stuff. So the trips to Joburg allow us to then expand ourselves into other places. If you can drive with Sfiso to Joburg, take Sfiso to Joburg, but obviously do it in a sustainable manner where you are not depleting yourself, but you also allow to pour into that person's cup. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. I believe that all of that, yes, within the next 3 months.
Nice.
This was the hard part. Now it's done. So another pointer. We've got snacks. And with each combo that you buy,